Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where I take a variety of blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and today we're going to be covering all of the breech loading pistols. They have been requested numerous times in the comments, but I didn't have any of them until recently, and now that I have them all, I'm gonna do a show! Our first contestant will of course be the Sharpfire. The Sharpfire was originally released in 2015 as part of the N-Strike series. It is direct plunger, and it came with this nifty little holster slash shoulder stock, as well as a barrel attachment. Very C96 broom-handled Mauser with the stock that was also a holster, and for the carbine version they had long barrels, so I like that as a concept. But what we want to know today is, can it take a K26? Let us find out. Alright, well, if you're paying close attention, you'll no doubt have noticed that this already does have a spring upgrade. I did this one previously. And the answer is unfortunately no. The Sharpfire cannot take a K26 because the plunger tube is too small. It has one of the sliding plunger tubes, which is what allows it to, actually slide back without having, a plunger rod coming out the back. And unfortunately, it's way too small for K26. It took me a while to find anything that would actually fit, but I did eventually find a spring that kind of fit in there. I don't think I had to. No, I did not, in fact, have to Dremel out the plunger head. So no K26 in this one, which really doesn't bode well for this episode, but we're going to go ahead and try them all out anyway. Alright, so that's a no for K26, but obviously it can take a fairly impressive spring upgrade. I know such notable nerfers as Chris Kataya and others have done amazing things with this blaster. I know Chris Kataya made it magazine fed to take Stefan's, and of course did, I assume, a full brass breech. So it is a very impressive platform with the right upgrades. Those upgrades just don't include a K26, which is what this show is all about. And let's move on to the next contestant. Before I bring out my next contestant, I would just like to point out that when filming things like this, it's a good idea to make sure that you have enough room on your camera to hold it all, and don't have, say, for example, 10 hours of Mod Party footage just sitting on the drive, taking up all your space. So this is round 2 for this particular contestant. I already know the answer, but you don't, so let's do this. Our next contestant is, of course, the Ion Fire. The Ion Fire was originally released in 2016 as part of the N-Strike Modulus line. It is also direct plunger, and being modulus came with parts. It had a small barrel attachment as well as a dart holder, which in my opinion is one of the better attachments they've ever come out with for modulus, and I wish they would come out with bigger ones. Like the barrel brakes one. I'd love to see that one again. Anyway, what we want to know is, can it take a K26, or is it in fact just a reshell of the Sharpfire? Alright then, let's take a look. Well, it's definitely just a reshell of the Sharpfire, but some slight differences in, the vague mechanisms and all of that, but for the most part, obviously, it's the same. Yeah. We'll go ahead and pop out the plunger tube just to make sure. You never know. Maybe by some miracle it's different enough that it'll fit. Yep. Same plunger, which is too small to take a K26. Okay, well, that is a no for the Ion Fire. Obviously, it can also be upgraded if you have the right spring and you can brass the barrel, and because it's modulus and has a barrel mount, you can obviously add longer barrels. So, I may modify it at some point, but probably not, just because I really don't like the grip and look of it. But that is entirely my personal preference. On to the next contestant. Our final contestant is, of course, the Falcon Fire. The Falcon Fire came out in 2017 as part of the N-Strike Elite AccuStrike line. It is also direct plunger. It did not come with any attachments, though it did come with 2 little dart holders. Supposedly there's an exclusive release that comes with twice as many darts, and therefore the modulus dart attachment. And I wish I'd gotten that one because, as I stated, I like the modulus dart attachment. But is this thing just another sharp fire reshell, or more accurately, probably an ion fire reshell, or can it take a K26? Well, let's find out. Well, that explains why the handle feels a little bit loose. At some point, I will have to glue those in place, probably make it a little bit more solid. But as you can see from the inside, it is indeed just an ion fire reshell, which of course is just a sharp fire reshell. So no, it's not going to be able to take a K26, but at the very least, with the right spring, you could modify that. This one is a little bit pickier, I guess I would say, because the floating plunger head, in this case, has the priming indicator on it, which has a number of different issues that creates. And I don't think you could easily cut it out because it would create just a hole in the plunger tube. So the spring limitations on this one is a little bit higher, but I'm sure you could find an upgrade spring that would work, or modify the plunger tube, or take the plunger tube out of an ion fire, or the plunger head rather. Anyway, no K26. Let's put it back together and move on. Okay. Well, that is a no for the Falcon Fire for K26, but obviously it can take spring upgrades, and I definitely want to do one. This is a blaster. I really like the overall aesthetic of it. I'm going to have to do some research and figure out what upgrades can be done, and then of course give it my standard paint job, which is quite easy because the white and gray sections are separate from the orange, so they can be taken apart and painted. Only these 2 front parts are actually painted on this gun, so I just have to repaint those. But I really like the look of it, and I would love to get it up to a decent performance level for fun, if for nothing else. So, let's recap. Alright then, for those of you keeping score at home, or for those of you who just skipped to the end to get the results, that was a no for the Sharp Fire, a no for the Ion Fire, and a no for the Falcon Fire. Unfortunately, the design of the breech loaders does not allow for K26, but does allow for spring upgrades as well as brass breeching and all sorts of other nifty updates. So look forward to that. This one is definitely going to get modded. I might mod a Sharp Fire, but this is the one that really has the aesthetic that I like. If you have any requests for future episodes of Can It Take a K26, I have the next episode lined up. Not sure what I'm going to do about the one after that, but definitely can take suggestions. Also, any comments, concerns, ideas, go ahead and put those in the comments below. If anybody has a source for springs that fit in here that isn't a reseller, like Blaster Parts or Tactical or Orange Modworks, any of those, if you have the actual source, that would be lovely. I have a few I'm going to try out, and we will see where that goes. If I find a good source, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, go ahead and let me know whatever you know. Ask questions, give ideas. I love getting suggestions in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.